Okay, let's start. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the CTS Global's very own Chairman's Bootcamp program. My name is Enrique, and I will be your moderator all throughout our 3-week journey together. So, I hope you're all just as excited as I am because we have a lot of fun and insightful content that will surely make this a memorable program for all of us. Please don't forget that our goal for this program is to help deepen and refine your understanding of the financial markets. So we strongly encourage you all to actively participate and attend all the live seminars as much as possible. Please don't forget, feel free to post any questions you have related to the program on our Facebook group, as your questions may also be helpful to the other members as well. So now for the moment we've all been waiting for, our first speaker to kick off this bootcamp is an experienced trader of over 40 years. He is the founder and chairman of CTS Global Equity and COL Financial. Please put your hands together for the one and only Sir Edward Lee.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, thank you. Okay, so let me just share the reason why we're doing all this, and it's been almost 50 years, no? 50 years when I started this. I was 17, 18 years old when I was exposed to the financial market. No? I was with this organization. It's called Junior Achievement of the Philippines, and what happened was that the mentor invited us to go to his office, and at the back of his office, when I saw it was a lot of charts, and I was asking him, "What's all that?" I was, I think, 18 years old when I was exposed to that event, no? To that experience. And he showed me that this is and then he gave me a book. It's called the classic. It's called the classic charting book. It's a classic. It's called the stock. I think it's the stock. Forgot the title. How to invest in the stock market. It's by Edwards and McGee. No, it's a classic book. Technical analysis of stock trends. By the way, it's a very classic book already. I think it's version 10 already. They're also upgrading it. But what we'll try to do is that with that experience, I opened an account and I started trading in the stock market. And luckily, I started making a lot of money. That was the beginning of the bull market in 1973 and 1974. The sad part is, of course, I'm young. I spent a lot of time basically just don't really understand it, but I participated in the stock market. And I did very well. No? I did very well. In 1973, I did very well. The problem is when the market started selling off in 1974, no amount of technical analysis can save me. So I blew up the account, basically, and lost a lot of money. And it's the same thing again and again for the last 40, 50 years now. So what we're trying to do today is that basically, go to the slide. Is that the reason why we're doing this is because we believe that we have already learned almost everything in terms of our experience. I remember in 1999 when we created COL Financial, it was because we believe at that time that we can educate as many people as possible, and we believe that all Filipinos deserve to be rich. That's why we created that tagline. And today, for CTS Global, we also believe that we have learned how to do it properly in the overall global markets. And the vision is really to establish the next generation of fund managers that will pioneer the whole, it's like a new BPO industry of proprietary trading and fund management in the country. So that is really the vision of why we created this internship program. The problem always is that when we were educating people on market timing, being actively in the market in 2005, 2003, when we started this educational program on being actively in the market, what happened is that at the peak of the market, we were telling people to sell already, to liquidate. Nobody was listening. Nobody was listening. So when the crash came in 2008, we changed our business model for COL. What we did was we made it what we call simple. The problem before is that when we talk to 100 people, only 1 or 2% will understand what we're saying. but by introducing what we call passive investing. And that's one of the reasons why we asked you to go over my lecture in Tarlac State University, was we were able to compartmentalize already from passive investing to active investing to active trading. That's why we basically created that model already. So in 2008, when we started, we changed the business model from what we call an easy investment program, passive investing, meaning you don't have to think so much. Just understanding the Philippine growth story and continuously investing using what we call the dollar cost, peso cost averaging method of investing. That basically created what COL is all about. When we started, I remember when we were educating, we had 272 customers when we got listed in the Philippine Stock Exchange. Today, we open more than 200 accounts a day. All right. So this is a long journey. It's 20 years. Now, what we're trying to do now is to create the next generation. Hopefully, that the interns today and maybe the people are participating who are not selected will be able to also try to understand what we're saying, no? Because once you understand what we're saying, it basically we're putting it everything into a nutshell and sharing one day. You'll one day to be able to how do you say this? To have a skill, a craft, then to create that financial confidence that you will be able to get a better job, or you can take it to the next level and take it as a profession. As a profession. All right, so that's really the vision why we created all this, and share it now to of course we chose the young people who basically are still in school, and so that by the time that you finish your school, at least you can get probably apply for a better job, to be able to maybe participate also in working as a global fund manager or global prop trading company. All right. Okay. So let's look at the difference between what we call investing and trading. All right. So investing normally is that you look at it from a more longer term perspective. Trading basically is that we are more active. No? So what I did was I was in an event and they were asking me about the difference between me and one of the other great fund manager in the Philippines. And I said, Mr. C invests in businesses, while me, I build businesses. So I'm indirectly, actively building businesses. I think he's smarter. He basically just invests in businesses, right? So trading indirectly is the same. No? Investing and trading, it's the same. And you have to be careful. One is investing in it, passively investing in those companies, as active trading in that business. So it's a business, right? So if you look at the second slide, it's called trading. Next slide. We treat trading as a business. We treat trading as a business. All right. There is no such thing as a jackpot mentality. Very, very careful, because I think there are a lot of instruments now that are being promoted that you can make money 10, 20, 30 times in a few days or a few weeks or a few months. And we have always we did not discourage it if you know how to do it, but we don't participate in it. All right. So the crypto, the NFTs, the penny stocks, these are things that we do not participate on. All right. So in other words, our kind of work is more what? A lot of hard work. You have to know what companies, what you're buying, companies, the companies you're selling. No? All right, so let's go to the next slide. So this was, I think, created 7-8 years ago by the framework by K-Loom. No? All right, so you need a framework. So today I will try to explain to you the framework that is very important, so that by the time that you finish your internship program, how many days? 30 days? Is it 30 days or 2 months? 2 months. 2 months, you would have an understanding of how this is done. Okay? So please try to understand. You have to try to understand what we're sharing, and you need to learn each and every of these things that are under, for example, the next slide. It's, let's say, for example, the first FTSR is, we talk about fundamentals. No? is this fundamental? You have to see it. This screen basically it says it all already. All right. When you're doing the study of the fundamentals, you need the study of what? You need to understand values. No? You need to understand the different corporate cycles, the 4 Ps that we talk about. When you talk about technical analysis, which is the T, the FTSR, it's a study of price. In terms of, you have to understand what is trend trading, what is counter trend trading. All of this will basically be sharing with you by our mentors, our coaches. They will spend their time and try to understand, helping you understand what are all these. The next one is, of course, sentiment. You need to understand the different market conditions, the market cycle clock. Basically, what is risk on, what is risk off, right? What is the market-driven crashes, why it's important, understanding the different emotional cycle of investing. And then the last, of course, is the risk part, which is the most important. So that you need to understand, write down everything that you need to understand so that you can see what you can control and what you cannot control. Okay, so this is a summary of what you will be learning from this internship. And then what will happen is that I will now explain each and every one of it. All right. Okay, so on fundamentals. This is from NYU Professor Aswat Damodaran. If you have time, please, it's free. NYU Professor Aswat Damodaran. He basically introduced to us what we call a corporate life cycle. Corporate life cycle. So in other words, first you have to understand what's the narrative. Startup, a lot of what we call informed speculation. It's a startup, young growth, high growth, mature stable, and declining businesses. So this is based on revenues and earnings. Spend some time trying to listen to us and then our coaches will also explain it. No, that this is what we call the corporate life cycle. In other words, before you do anything, you need to learn how to look at companies, how to value them. That's very important also. And at the same time, what are the narratives? So there's a narrative. Anong kwento? Anong kwento nito? What is this narrative? What is this news catalyst? You need to learn all these things and put it into proper segment. No. So again, is it a startup, young growth, high growth? So most of these young kids, most of these young people, young traders, they like the startup, the penny stocks, the crypto, all these things. Yung mga may kwento, gusto nila yan. The young growth, those that have no earnings. So what's the reason why? Because prices goes up and down very, very fast. So we call it entertainment, all right? You have to understand that. So most people will participate in it. Even I did the same thing. When I was young, I was involved also in trading all these penny stocks, all these mining stocks way back in the 70s. After going to that learning process, basically in 1971, the crash came in, I lost 70, 80% of my capital. That's why I had to work for a computer center, 8 pesos a day, being a key puncher, trying to build a business. No? So you need to understand this very carefully, very carefully. The next one, next slide. What is very, very important is that this one is basically being simplified by Michael Moe. This is from the book. It's also in YouTube, from the book of Finding the Next Starbucks. Looking for the young growth, high growth, startup, young growth, high growth. No? And if you bought this company 20, 30 years ago, you will probably be a multi-millionaire already. By understanding what we call the 4 Ps, right? The principals, who are these people at the back, right? Building these businesses. The product, what is this? Is it a consumable product? What product are they doing? The potential, what is this potential? Potential is kailangan may growth yan, no? And then, is it predictable? Meaning, is it really making money, paying you cash dividend? So the 4 Ps are basically the checklist for us. In order, like for example, the other day they asked us, okay, so we look at, let's say the IPO of Monde Diesel was there, right? So somebody called me, sir, do I participate in this Monde? Do I buy it now? Do I buy it whatever? No? So I said, let's just do the checklist. Is these people great people? Are they been in the business for the last 40 years? Have they done very well? The answer is yes. So check, people. Product, great product, right? Great product. The Lucky Me, all these other brands that are coming out, great product, right? Then may check also. Then the potential. What is this product? What is this company? Why are they excited to raise 40 billion to 40 to 50 billion? What are they doing? Because they're building there's a new potential corn, which is what we call the alternative meat, that they believe that they will be dominating once they put all their infrastructure, build their factories, increase their capacity. So is it predictable? Yes, they've been making 8 to 10 billion for the last 10, 20 years. All right. So once you have the checklist, what is the last checklist? Is it expensive? Yeah, that's the most difficult. Is it time to buy it? Right? So those are the things which you have to understand. So if you have a longer term perspective, definitely it's a check because it's running at 20, 25 times PE based on the potential of the business. So these are the things that we do. We process it. You have to understand what you're buying, why you're buying it, and is it cheap or not? We're also value people. Have to remember, we also look for values. We also look for values, all right? Aside from trading, what we call value momentum, we learn how to do all this momentum trading. At the same time, when there's an opportunity, we participate in values also. Deep value, especially, we like it also. All right? So this is the fundamental. Very simple lang yan. 4 P's lang yan. You don't have to look at too many things. Now, our coaches or mentors will start explaining the reason why and try to understand it. In other words, you need always have to be on the lookout for opportunities. Kailangan nakikita ninyo yan. Right? Company, for example, is it doing well? Why is it doing well? So if people sells you a story, narrative, without the 4 P's, please, you understand it's pure speculation. Pure speculation, pagsugal lang yan. All right? Okay, so the next one is what we call technical analysis. What is this technical analysis that you should be learning? There are basically 5 things there, right? So in other words, you need to understand what we call trend trading, position trading, momentum trading, right? There are a lot of setup, these things that you need to learn, you need to understand it. And then of course we have our counter trend, which we rarely do in the US, but we do it here in the Philippines, mainly because our Philippine market is illiquid. There will be a lot of opportunities, what we call when markets are being sold up at a huge discount. It's called the capitulation, mean reversion before it reverses. So these are things that which you need to understand. It's always a challenge for us because like we have a business that we run, CTS Global is a global business. If you talk to Lawrence will always say you focus on trend trading only, stocks that are up there because it's a business, which is a trading business, trading houses. But in the Philippines, we wear a different hat. When there's a rebalancing in the MSCI, like what happened the last few weeks, you had huge capitulation. We also participate in it because what we call the capitulation mean reversion. Now these things, I know it's too much for you, but please try to open your eyes. In the next 3 to 4 months, next 3 to 4 weeks, you can ask those questions and we will be able to show you the blow by blow how this is done properly. Now, I don't expect you to learn it immediately, but please have an open mind. Have an open mind so that you will be able to see all the different setup rules that are very, very important for you to build it into a business. Negosyo yan, negosyo. Setups are basically used for you to be able to repeat, which Lawrence will always say, it's a rinse and repeat. So it's repeatable, it's being consistent. All right? Okay, so the next one is, this is a summary, basically, of what we call from a trend trading, momentum, swing, capitulating, and reversing. The Philippines, this is the Philippine index. The Philippines is still in a reversing. We're still trying to reverse. No, we're still in a major downtrend, well, still in a downtrend, and we are trying to reverse because earnings are coming in very fast, better than the last 2 years. A lot of the companies now are basically the same as the 2019 earnings already. You need to understand that, where the earnings are coming from. And then once it reverses, then it will become the beginning of the bull market. All right. So understand this very well. It's all there already. What is a momentum? How do you trade momentum? What is swing trading? How do you participate? How do you do it? When it's capitulating, how do you handle it? How do you manage it? And when it's reversing, when is the best time? So in other words, these are all what we call, put it in a nutshell, it's in different quadrants, which is the next slide. All right. So we put it also, everything is complete now. It's just that whether you can see it or not. Philippines is still in quadrant 1, which is what we call the weak bear. There's still a lot of headwinds, still a lot of challenges, but we're seeing numbers, corporate numbers that are recovering already since from last year's pandemic. All right. So from Q1, Q2, which is a strong bull, Q3, a weak bull, and the strong bear. Please, this was created, I think, more than 10 years ago, right? And the biggest problem with most people is that they don't know the difference. What strategy do you use during Q1? What strategies during Q2, Q3, Q4? So there are a lot of strategies. That's why we already put it in a nutshell, put it in one chart and try to learn. You have to try to learn and understand. What is this Q1? Paano ginagawa ito? Is it a buy low, sell high? Or is it a buying values, right? Holding it for a long, long time. So these are things which are very important. Very, very important. Okay? Right? So the next one basically is what we call risk. So now sentiment, what we call sentiment. What is sentiment? So now we talk about fundamentals, we talk about technicals. Now let's talk about sentiment. Sentiment is this. You know, when we talk about passive investing, the problem is after 10 years of long-term investing, you're already, if you do this, what we call the passive investing is all about save, invest, reinvest, right? Looking for a growth story. Let's say like we believe in the Philippine growth story. Okay, you're just starting, you're young. What do you do? You start just setting aside, pay yourself 10, 20%. And then put it, investing in the stock markets, index fund, whatever. 10 years from now, 10% compounded rate of return, or so about 8%, you will become a millionaire already. The problem is when markets, and when you're a millionaire, you've been investing for the last 10 years, now you have a problem. Now you have to understand what is risk on, risk off. Because market, when there's a risk off, it can go down 10, 20, 30, 50%. And sometimes some of the stocks can go down 80%. That's why you need to be aware of that. Kailangan naintindihan mo ito kasi pag hindi mo naintindihan yan, ang mangyayari sa'yo, you get emotional. Diba? So sentiment is all about understanding risk on, risk off, when to be risk on, when to be risk off. The next one is, you have to understand also that we take advantage of this market crash. When sentiment is there, political, credit crisis, policy-driven crash, like the pandemic, we need it so that it can increase our return. You need to understand that. You need to understand that we take this kind of crisis, it becomes an opportunity for us. An opportunity for us, right? The next one is that you need to understand. Next slide, please. This is the most important. Understand the emotional cycle of investing. Most people, for example, like the recent MSCI, market basically went down a lot, capitulating. People are getting depressed because prices have gotten so much. Within a few days after the MSCI rebalancing, it went up 10, 20%. Right? So you need to know how to take advantage of this. And the vice versa, for example, everybody was excited about Bitcoin, Dogecoin, NFTs, the euphoria. Look at it. What happened? When the market collapsed, wala na. Anxiety, denial, fear, maybe today. Wala pang depression. Diba? Desperation. So you have to understand all these things, because if you understand it, then when there's a product, an instrument that comes out in the market, then you have to have your checklist. What if you don't have any, in other words, if the product doesn't create any value at all, you treat it as what? Pure speculation. Sugal lang yan. Kailangan maintindihan mo yan. Kasi pag hindi mo naintindihan, isang guhit lang, ubos na yung pera mo. So I think a lot of your friends probably who participated in all these cryptocurrency, in all these crypto assets, the last few days, the last few weeks, basically, the market has got down 50, 60, 70, 80%, right? So you need to know anything that doesn't create value. Somebody sells you a story, a narrative. If there is no, kung kwento lang, you have to remember, it's pure speculation. Pagsugal lang yan. Kaya kailangan naintindihan mo yan. Kasi pag hindi na naintindihan yan, you put all in kasi kumikita ka. Talaga, isang guhit lang, ubos na lahat. Alright? So understand all the different sentiment. It's there. It's written there. Makikita ninyo yan. What's the next one? The next one is the most important. It's called risk. People don't understand the importance of this. You need to understand what you can control. Markets, we do not control. Anything, policies that can be changed overnight, we cannot do anything, right? So you need to understand how to manage your risk, right? That's why we always have a what we call the value at risk. Every time we buy something, it's maybe should be 0.5% of your total portfolio or 1% of the total portfolio. You will be taught how to do this properly. So that you can be a consistent, it's a business, consistent trader. All right. The next one is all about what? You need to keep a journal, because if you don't keep a journal, you will repeat the same mistake again and again and again. That's the problem. That's why whenever by the end of the month, all the traders are required to give a summary of what they did. A summary of what they did. Because you need to understand it. Because if you don't read it and understand what you have done, what happened is that you will continue to make the same mistake again and again. So umiikot lang yan, umiikot lang yan. Umiikot lang yan. And the last is also very important. You need to have a trading community. Among your friends, among yourself, try to help each other, right? If your friend is not following the rules, you better wake him up, because it might be he was just too in love with the issue. He was just too in love with the story, and then he would just put a lot of money in. You need to control what we call the blind spot. That is very important. In all of us will have our blind spot. And the reason why there's a blind spot is because of our ego, right? The ego. You know, I always ask my trader, so what did you learn from this? I remember, BJ, I asked you this. Sabi na, ang hirap pala kumita ng pera. Mahirap talaga kumita ng pera. When you're trading, it's really difficult. That's one of the reasons why we have been asked so many times, can we make it into, can trading be a business? What did I say? Can just anybody can just be a, the answer is full-time trader. The answer is no. Unless you're hired by CTS, then we basically finance it, investing in you to make it into a business, right? Until you learn it how to do it properly. But in the meantime, if you're doing it on a part-time basis because you're still in school, please focus on your work, focus on your school, build a career or build a business. Being an entrepreneur, the advantage of being an entrepreneur is that you will learn how to look at businesses, know how to value businesses. And because of that, you will be a great investor. That's how it is. They asked about me. He said, so, Mr. Lee, you've been very successful. Sabi ko, maswerte lang ako because I was an entrepreneur at a very young age. I was a salesman. I was a good salesman. So I built my business. I had a cash flow. And that cash flow is the one that basically helped me be successful in what we call the art and science of speculation, right? Until today, it's very different already because we have learned it. It took me 50 years to learn this. And you guys are just what? You guys are what? 21, 22 years old?
20.
Or 20 years old or 19? My God, you spend your time learning it. At the same time, you have your own profession. Be the best in your profession. Then the world is in your fingertips. You will be able to appreciate what we call the most important, because now the world is in your fingertips. You have access now to different companies all over the world. And just at a touch of a finger, you can participate in the best companies in the world. Okay, so let me show you the last slide, which is the most important. Most traders, stage one traders, because you don't know what you're doing, you just listen to people, it's an unprofitable business. And most people, 85% will lose money. They don't understand it. And 85% will leave the industry. Because ikot ka ng ikot di ba? And then napapagod ka na. The second one is the most dangerous. You think you know, so you put in, you always all in, di ba? So boom bust ka. Let's say if you have an opportunity, you put, let's say, Dogecoin, you put all the money in, then kumita ka, pumunta ka to the next one. Then kumita na naman, then go to the next one. The last one, isang guhit lang. Whatever you made in the last 5 or 10 trades or 9 of this pure speculation, isang guhit lang, ubos ka na. So ikot ka na ng ikot yan. That is the stage 2 trader. What we're gonna teach you is to become a consistent, profitable trader. This is what we call systematic. There's a process and it's systematic. Kailangan systematic yan. So that you can control your losses and over time, you can build a business. Okay? So let me end with a quote, which is very important. The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. What does it mean? Be an optimist. Have that open mind. When there's a crisis, there are great opportunities. And that's how we made all our money. It was always during difficulties, crisis, and your eyes are open for opportunities. All right? So thank you very much. I want to thank the team for putting it all together. If you have any questions, anyway, I'll still be here for the next 2 months.
Yes.
2 months. Okay. 2 months tayo. 2 months. Guys, better take advantage of it because you have a lot of great mentors who have been. These are all practitioners that are in the business. Learn as much as you can. Ask all the questions. Have that open-mindedness, and learn as much as you can. And please, I will always edit with 2 things, with the 2 words. Thinking without action is useless. And now you can learn all these things, but without any action, it's useless. Action without thinking is also useless, meaning you need to plan. When you plan, you have to execute so that you can learn. Because whatever you learn here without execution, nothing is going to happen to you. I always encourage my people, the new recruits, the trader, as long as you plan your trade and you write down the setup that is required for you to put it in, you will not hear a single word from me, meaning you need to experience it. So if you have a great idea, you have a great company and the setup is there, you need to enter that particular trade. If you don't enter that trade, I don't need you. You're just wasting your time. It's just, parang nanood ka na ng sine for entertainment. No. Please, this is the biggest game in town, in the world. It's not only in the Philippines, the world. Once you understand it, that's why if you spend some time listening to what I was talking about in the Tarlacs, when I was sharing it, you need to learn as much as you can because you have to take away all your biases. Whatever that you have learned from school, try to have that open mind to learn from all the coaches and to all the mentors because all of these people basically already spent 3 to 5 years of their life learning it. And from them, they can share their experiences. Once they share that experience to you, okay ka na, di ba? But without execution, it's also useless. All right? Okay, let's open just want to thank the team, guys, for putting all those together. And then congratulations to the 24 who passed the recruitment program. I know it's difficult. There were more than 700, is it 700 applicants? And You guys are the selected few. Okay? So please, for those who was able not to be part of these 24 interns, don't worry, we will still be with you, hand-holding you, you can listen to our mentors for the next 3 weeks, is it? No? 3 weeks, no? That we'll be sharing because they asked me, so boss, paano yan? 24 lang ba tayo? Sabi ko, no, we have to, for those 700 people who also wants to listen to what we're doing, it's available. The only difference between, I think, the 24 is that you will now be working directly with the traders so that they can see the different setups. No? More detailed talaga. Okay? All right. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, so everyone, thank you for that insightful session, Mr. Edward Lee. So let's move on to the Q&A segment of this seminar. So for everyone in the Zoom room, please feel free to unmute and just straight up ask your questions. For everyone watching on the Facebook live stream, kindly leave your comments on the group below for the chairman to answer.
100 plus.
That's good. Tama tayo, mga 20%. Pareto. Okay, any questions? Guys, better ask questions if you have any. Okay. Let's zoom in to the person.
Kobe?
Hi. So I wanted to ask lang on the topic of risk management, no? Since I think a lot of us here are also practicing mga retail investing and we're trying to invest our own money then. We have some of us have our own accounts, and as you mentioned, how can we manage risk, no? When our portfolio sizes are fairly small, baka nasa sub 100,000, in that when your portfolio is that size, it's hard to really do yung mga make sure that this trade is only X% of your portfolio size, no? So what perhaps might be a good way in which we can manage this?
It's really a very good question. So I also experienced that when I was young, kasi wala tayong pera, di ba? Kunti lang pera natin. So ang ginagawa natin, all in, di ba? What's the name of the person? Let's
Kobe.
Kobe?
Yes.
Right, Kobe, that's a very good question, especially when you're young. So normally what will happen is that it's when you do this all in without a proper systematic approach on value at risk, what will happen is, and believe me, what will happen to you is paikot-ikot ka lang. Kikita ka na marami, nawawala. Kasi because all in, right? Now, the only thing I can suggest is that you increase the value at risk. So in other words, instead of 1% bar, you increase it to 2 or 3%. It has to be consistent all the time. So in other words, if you have 100,000, the maximum you can lose is 3,000, 3%. So that it can be, you can measure it. Because if not, what happened is that you will not have a consistent. What's the use of having a journal when you're basically on feeling lang? O tingin mo, aakyat na ito. Sige, you bet more. Did you understand, Kobe? So you can just increase it. You have to go to the, so I can see him. Go. Take away the boot camp. Take it away. Let's look at them.
Okay.
Tanggalin mo na yan. We don't need that anymore, di ba? You understand, Kobe?
Yes.
So ganun lang. 2 to 3%, di ba? But kailangan consistent. Because if you're not consistent, what will happen to you? Di ba? Paikot-ikot lang yan eh. Di ba? Kasi you have to remember, investing or trading is a probability game. Right? It's a probability game. Wala naman sigurado dyan eh. Di ba? The sad part is, when you're only trading in the Philippines, what will happen is the cost of trading is expensive. That's why it has to be active investing. When you look at a story, when you look at an area pattern, a formation, you have to put your proper cut. You buy it and then you hold it. Now, when you're trading, let's say, for example, the penny stocks, it goes up and down, goes up and down. By the end of the day, you only contribute to COL Financial or to your broker. Sila lang kikita. By the way, by the end of the day, sila yung kumita. That's why 85% of the traders, why do they say that they lose money? It's because of the cost, right? Cost yan eh. Diba? So if you're not consistent in what you're doing, what will happen to you is that paikot-ikot ka lang. I also experienced the same thing. Kaya naubos din ako. Diba? I was showing that to one of my, si Sheena, I was showing to, tingnan mo, itong mga discretionary trading ko. Kikita ako, malulugi ako. Kikita ako, malulugi ako. Kikita ako, malulugi ako. Eh, hindi eh. Wala nangyari sa akin. I didn't make money. Ako na yan Di ba? Kasi it's a small account eh. So I said, the same thing as what you were saying. Sige, larga. Ito, magandang formation ito. Sige, larga. End of the day, wala nangyari sa akin. It's only for entertainment. Di ba? So nangyari, nung isang account ko na frozen, because of, it was a cut sa swap. I focus on trading based on rules. Ayan, kumita na ako consistently. Di ba? Kasi this is a game of probability eh. When you're trading, it's a game of probability. You got it, Kobe? Yeah. Ganun lang. Just be consistent. I mean, if it's 2% bar or 3% bar, put it. It needs to be systematic. Because if it's systematic, then you can measure it. Eh. Di ba? You can measure your performance. Kasi kung ano lang yan, or just make it consistent. For example, 100,000. Sabi mo, sige, 5,000 na exposure ko in terms of losses. Ayun, okay na yan. Pwede rin yan. No? So that it's worth your while, right? I mean, that's what you're saying. Diba? Sometimes. But you know, as long as you're systematic, you need that patience. So that when you learn it automatically, then you'll be okay. No? It's all about consistency lang talaga. All about consistency. That's why systematic against discretionary. Ako mo? Kasi kung all in ka, it's discretionary. Right? While for us, and we have done it so many times, the boom bust basically is because of discretionary. The stage 2 trader, mga discretionary trader yan eh. Di ba? Kasi they can make a lot of money, lose a lot of money. That means they are not consistent. They're not consistent in terms of the approach of how they do it. Di ba? So they'll make a lot of money in one issue. That's second time. Bomba uli, wala, isang guhit lang, pababa. So it's just a way, and those traders, we basically have to let them go because it's an entertainment for them. They're good traders, yes, but they cannot be consistent because trading is all about numbers. It's all about being consistent. Very good question. Very good question.
Okay, thank you for that question, Kobe. Next, can we get a question from Alvin?
Yeah, so I just like to ask an estimated time, how long till a person can be profitable? So may it be like 3 months, 6 months of 4 hours daily studying to, yeah. So like we have a benchmark of when we're supposed to achieve profitability.
Ako, 49 years. Very good question also. It really depends on the market condition. So if you're in the quadrant 2, wherein the market is basically a buy high, sell higher in a bull market, within a few days you can make money already, right? But in a market condition like today, wherein it's a quadrant 2, quadrant 1, which is a no interest, what we call a buy low, sell high, you need to be more patient. Probably a few months, right? Do you understand? So it's a question that what you're asking me is basically, I really don't know. It's really up to you, diba? So the only thing is that what I know is this: when you put your time, let me ask you a question. What's your name?
Alvin.
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 What is your personal goal? What do you want to be? Don't talk about trading. Don't talk about being a professional trader. Where did you go to school? You're from where?
Ateneo, sir. Ateneo de Manila.
Ateneo de Manila. Okay, so for example, like you, what is your dream? What do you want to be when you finish school? What do you want to be?
Oh, like in terms of career or like my overall life?
Career.
Oh, career. Unsure pa, sir, but maybe like venture capital or consulting, sir.
So
Your
how can you
career.
be qualified as a consultant if you don't understand anything about businesses? What's your
Yeah.
quality? Yeah, diba? In other words, you're going to work. You're going to work for a company to become a venture capitalist. How many years do you think you will learn to become a venture capitalist?
Yeah, a lot of time because you need to study different businesses, industries.
So you just answer your own question. You just answer your own question. How do you become a successful trader? It takes years of experience, diba? Right? Do you get it?
Yes, sir.
It takes time talaga. I don't have a timeline for you. But if you're in a hurry, I'm so sure you'll fail. I'm so sure you'll fail. In other words, for you to become a professional engineer, computer engineer, to be the best engineer, to be a best doctor, how many years do you think? You're asking a question which nobody can answer, right? But in the stock market, yes, you will make money buying NFT 2 months ago. You make a lot of money. Oh, then what happened? Isang guhit lang, ubus ka. So is it a profitable, consistent trader? The answer is no, right? I never, let me share with you. I have a trader in the .com during the .com bull market, right? So I have about 85 traders trading for me every night. We built it because we were 20 traders, and then we made so much money during the .com boom. I expanded to 80 traders, 85 traders. I added 65 new traders, right? When the crash came, all of them made more money, 10 times more money. Going up, we made money. When the crash came, we made 10 times more money. Then I expanded to 85 traders, additional 65 traders. I thought this was so easy. Sabi ko, simple lang pala ito. Di ba? Right? Then the traders who made so much money came to me. They said, boss, hindi ko na kailangan pala mag-chart. Hindi ko na kailangan maintindihan ng ginagawa. Banat lang ako ng banat, tira lang ako ng tira. Di ba? Hindi ko na kailangan yan. Hindi ko na charting, wala na yan. Of course, when he said that, he was making so much money. You know how much money he made for me? In that 1 year, almost $400,000. $400,000. I gave him 100, he made 400,000. In fact, at that time, during the .com crash, the best one, 100,000, made $800,000 for me. 800,000. I had a lot of team. That's why I expanded it. Di ba? Kasi akala ko, simple-simple na ito. Tinuturo namin ito. Para kayang-kaya. Then, of course, when the crash came, and then it became a no-interest environment. That's why we talk about sentiment now. Nasa no-interest environment. So, syempre, akala nila, hindi na kailangan mag-aaral, hindi na naintindihan yan. So, pag bili ng breakout, the next day, gap down. Bili ng breakout, the next day, gap down. So, the no-interest period was about almost, in the US, almost 8 years of consolidation. The NASDAQ, look at it, NASDAQ consolidation, 8 years like sideways. So every time no interest environment, kaya we included sentiment in the K-Loan program. Dati wala naman sentiment, puro technical analysis lang yan eh. Di ba? We were just buying anything in the board. Pag umakyat yan, oh sige, nandiyan yan. I don't even care what it is eh. But today, we need to qualify. We need to know what we're buying, right? Kailangan naintindihan natin. So we included fundamental analysis. The problem is, when the sentiment came, naging no interest. Wala. Lahat ng mga, whatever fundamentals, kaya ngayon, let's say for all the growth stocks today, the mga young growth, pagbili mo, pag breakout, bumabalik. Pag breakout, bumabalik because we're going to what we call the no interest environment. Okay? Oh, he came to me. He was having huge losses. Huge losses, kunti lang naman. Pero napagod na rin siya kasi may puhunan na siya eh. So he came to see me. He said, boss, pasensya ka na, but I want to be an entrepreneur na. Kasi may pera na siya, di ba? Ay, yung mga losses niya, akong may carry eh. I still carry the losses. Tapos sabi niya, humirit siya. Normally, at that time, people who leaves, I'll let them go. I don't have a problem. Right? Because wala namang golden handcuff yan. Wala naman. Di ba? So I don't like to hire people who doesn't want to work for me anymore. I have to let them go. That's why they were asking us to put contracts. I never had contracts with any of my trader. No contracts at all. All right? So he came to me and said, boss, marunong naman ako eh. Sabi niya sa akin marunong naman ako eh. Hindi ko alam kung kailan. Do you understand that word? Alvin, do you understand what he said? Marunong naman ako eh. Di ba? Marunong naman talaga siya eh. Di ba? Pero hindi ko alam kailan. kailan ko bababawi ito? Kasi may talo na siya. Ako may carry ng talo. Sabi ko sa kanya, LJ, ano bang alam mo? Ano ba alam mo? Just because you made money, you think you can duplicate this. Wala kang alam. Wala kang alam. That's why people don't understand that. You think you made a lot of money? Kala mo it can be sustained? The answer is no. It's a long process. You need to always be on guard. That's why I was talking to somebody kanina. It's all about work ethics. You have to have that work ethics. You always have to be there. You always have to be to have an open mind. Because if you don't have that, you will never be successful in life. Success comes from where? Always have to be seeking knowledge, seeking other people's experience, other people's wisdom. Even up to today, I listen to everybody. Believe me, I was talking to Lawrence and my children the other day. I was talking to Sheena. Sabi ko, akong pinakamasipag dito. Anybody comes up with a new guru, I listen to them. Sometimes niloko nga ang anak ko eh. Why do you waste your time listening? I said, no, I need to listen. Maybe he knows something I don't. Nako mo, did you understand? Alvin, you guys are very lucky already because you're here. But please, try to be more patient, because if you are not patient, you will never make it also. You will never make it also. Try to be patient. You need that patience. You need to learn as much as you can, and you need to execute, because if you don't execute, nothing will happen to you. It's called analysis paralysis. Right? That's why when you execute, you need to manage it. Kasi if you don't manage it, di ba? Kasi ubus ka na eh, anong gagawin mo? Di ba? Do you understand? That's really the challenge. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for your question, Alvin. Up next, we have Marco.
Sir, I have a question for deep value. So for example, when you're investing in stocks that are deep value, so like for example, stocks trading below net current asset value or net cash, how do you differentiate or filter out value traps?
You just answer your question. That's value trap. Yes. So in other words, when you talk about deep value, why do we include market timing? Because of that. That's why you need to know technical analysis. Di ba? Kasi if you don't know technical analysis, value trap yan. I also have a story for that. In 1995, I saw a company. You can see this in what YouTube was that? The 46 years of my experience. It was an event from COL, and I talk about it. That company basically was deep value. Sobrang mura. We own 32% of ICTSI. We own 60% of Dutch. We own Amampulo. We own El Nido. We own Asian Bank. We own so many things. Deep value. We computed it 8 billion in net asset value. The market was 2.5 billion market cap. So what did I do? Value, di ba? So I started accumulating. One board seat, same price, 2 pesos, hindi pa umakyat. Nag-2 board seat na kami. Hindi rin umakyat. Right? Eventually, there was a takeover among the brothers, nag-away-away. So it went up. Hindi na ako makalabas. I was trying to get out. I couldn't get out. So when the crisis came, 1997 came, I was very fortunate. Because nag-away-away sila, they have some white knight to come in. So I sold everything at 280. I did not make money, but I did not lose money. I just gained the experience of how big corporation works. How big corporation works. The reason why we need to get out is because they basically raised 1 billion shares to dilute us kasi we had 2 board seat na. So wala na rin kaming pera. So this is exactly what you were asking, deep value. Do you know the price in 2001? It went to 25 cents. From 280 These people who bought from me, I remember it was Templeton and Capital Research. They were the white knight to help this group. Bought that company from us, 2 board seats, we sold it. One to Templeton, one to Capital Research. It went down to 25 cents. In 2001, 25 cents. Then they started divesting, which what we wanted, divesting, selling all the different assets. They sold ICTSI, everything. It's now 6 pesos after 20 years. 20 years, no? No, more than 20 years. More than 20 years. Eventually, tumama rin ako. Problema, patay ako. Did you get it? Yun ang problema. So that's why you have to include market timing. You need to include price. You have to understand price. Or else, it's just pure basically. Especially when you're buying conglomerates. Kasi mga deep discount yan. May mga discount yan. So the mga value trap ang tawag dun talaga. But very good question. Watch my video on my experience on deep value. I'm a value guy also. Don't know. I'm also a value guy. So I look at, let's say for example today, I look at DMC, cheap. Semirara is cheap, but because of the ESG, it would continue to be a value trap. It's possible value trap, right? Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But good. You need to understand that. Because deep value, when it reverses, maan yan. May ano yan. Malakas yan. It's just, it takes a long time. If you talk to Lawrence, the trend traders, they don't want to waste their time. It's called hard money. Right? Unless you have a lot of money, then you can allocate to buy all this deep value, and then so basically, and then participate, and then wait for it to grow. Because sometimes it takes 10, 20 years. Take 10, 20 years. Buying a business, it takes 10, 20 years. Then people will realize the value, and or the company, the management decided to basically break up the company. May value niya. Like what happened to First Gen, what happened to, hopefully, First Philippine Holding, the same thing. Deep value din ngayon yan. If you look at First Philippine Holding, it's deep value. But if the company doesn't do something about it, let's say for example, take it private, the First Gen take it private, or the Rockwell and whatever, it will still continue to be, and they've been buying back their stocks, They've been buying back their corporate buyback, nandun every day. Murang-mura, 3 times. Tapos paying you what, 8 to 10% cash dividend. Kung deep value ka, walang problema because they're paying you a dividend, So these are the deep values that are right now in the market, right? The DMC, the Semirara, the First Philippine Holding, yan, deep value talaga. Maraming mura dyan, AP, murang-mura lahat yan, The only thing is, if you are buying deep value, that means you are what? You are an active, you are an investor. You look at values, then buy and hold it for long. This program is not teaching you deep value. This program is teaching you active trading, active investing. In other words, you have to be in play. There's a news catalyst. The prices are showing you it's with buying below fair but reasonable value, and then you participate for growth. This CTS Global or KLOB is talk always about what we call the easy money, mas simple. Kasi kung deep value, it takes 10, 20, 30. Anscore was 1997, 2001, 25 cents. 10 years ago, 2020 na. Kaya after 20 years, nag-realize the value. So it takes a while talaga, matagal talaga ang mga deep value. That's why it's called a value trap talaga. That's why it's called a value trap. Okay.
Okay, thank you for that question, Marco. Next, we'll be moving on and answering some of the Facebook live stream comments. So everybody, please just be aware that we are doing a first come, first serve question and answer type. So everybody will have an equal opportunity to ask the questions that they need. We already merged together so that we can save time and get to everybody's questions as much as we can. So the first question is, will you be teaching us the CTS Global Trading?
That will be from our coaches, right? Mentors. And what I did was I summarized it. So if they don't teach you what I summarized, please remind them. I think that's the first question. What's the second question?
The second question is, how do you deal with losing streaks, especially this 2021? What adjustments do you have to make during tough times? What inspiration helped you to keep moving forward?
I always tell my traders, I don't even understand why you're losing money. Because if you have a systematic rule, in other words, you know the rules of the game, you should not be losing money. Now, if you are basically losing money in these very difficult times, it's because you're probably an investor, diba? Or you bought those penny stocks during those end of last year or early this year. And if you go to my Facebook channel, I cannot specifically talk about these companies per se, but we talk about some companies in the US that are behaving the same. So you can go over it and take a look at it. We were warning people. It's the same as we do not want to criticize any instrument because we will have an argument basically. But like I said, if there are no earnings, there are no potential earnings, there are no predictable earnings, that means you're buying a company which is speculative. It's pure speculation. Kung wala kang checklist, that means it's pure speculation. So I really believe that spend some time and read up on all the companies and try to put it in a nutshell. In other words, let's say, is this what you bought, what you have, is it a startup? Is it a narrative lang? Kwento lang ba yan? Is it a young growth? Wala pang earnings, may revenues, walang earnings? Or is it a high growth? Please, spend some time, if you're only the Philippines or whatever, wherever, any countries that you're participating on, the companies that you want to focus on is that you need to have that checklist. Kung nasaan siya. And then from there, I think that's the only time that you can have the, in other words, you are now in control. That's why we talk about being controlled and not in control. Markets we cannot control, but the companies you're buying you can control. How much you're exposed, the risk you can control. That's why we talk about being able to control it, diba? Rather than things that you cannot control. Because market we cannot control. Because tomorrow, let's say there's a bomb that was accidentally hit Metro Manila. Oh, wala na yan. Lahat ng kinita mo nawala. That's why we talk about risk management talaga. We talk about asset allocation, risk management, no? Right? For you guys who are young and you're participating in all this basura, we call it the basura stock or the penny stock, you need to basically stop it. Because if you don't stop it, it's called, you need to decide to sell it and then focus on the rules of the game. Because if you don't do that, what will happen to you is that you're very emotional already kasi you lost 30%, 50%. And sometimes you can lose 80%. So hindi mo na alam kung gagawin mo. Di ba? Kung mayaman tatay mo, humingi ng pera. So, Dad, marunong na ako. Tuloy na natin to. That's what I did, That's what I did, Wala na akong pera. Naubos ko na yung pera. Humiram ako ng pera doon sa mga kasama ko, which are still my partners today for the last, 1978. 43 years na kami magsasama. Kasi umutang ako sa kanila Kaya hanggang ngayon, binabayaran ko pa yung utang ko. It's the same. They helped me during the difficult times because I was spending so much time speculating. Nangyari sa akin, di namubos din kami. Di ba? And that's one of the reasons why it's very important that you need to understand. It's not the losing streak. It's the reason why it's a losing streak because you don't understand what you're doing. Hindi mo alam ang ginagawa mo. Kasi hindi mo na gusto mo mag-speculate. Hindi mo na alam ang rules of the game. Kailangan maintindihan mo yan. Okay?
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Lee. The next question is, do you also develop bad trading habits? How did you overcome them?
Yes. Yes. That was the 1980s. And I said to myself, I want to make money now. I don't want to fool around anymore. And that's it. The day that you declare that you want to make money now, these are the rules of the game. You can start making money now. Right? Follow the rules now. It's like somebody was asking me kanina, is it discretionary? The reason why you have bad habit is because it's discretionary. There's no systematic rule. Once you have a systematic rule, you will overcome it immediately. So know the rules of the game lang. Diba? Your entry point, your exit, what they're doing. Is this a high growth company? Is it a penny stock? Kailangan naintindi mo lahat yan. Kasi once you understand what you're doing, it's not gambling anymore. It's not speculation. It's pure systematic approach of making money. Then you will overcome these things. Okay.
Okay, next question is, would you recommend on allocating more growth or value stocks?
That's a very good question also. Okay, so let me share to you about this. There's a channel. It's called the Value Momentum Investment Strategy. This is from Adam Koo. Adam basically participate in all these growth stocks. If it's a growth stock, high flying stocks, but they are trading above fair value. He just trades it. Momentum sag siya. He will buy and sell it. But when it goes to deep value already, there's an intrinsic value. He wears that investment hat. He starts investing in all these good companies that are selling at a discount. So he has what we call a combination of momentum, which is trading, and value, which is basically buying companies. It's the same with us. When there is deep value, I have to wear my investment hat, especially when it's a market-driven crash. I have to wear that investment hat because that's where we make a lot of money. That's where we make a lot of money. Okay, so you need to be flexible. I do both growth and value, right? If I don't understand the company, and so one of our head of research basically explained to me, wala na, pipindutin ko na yan kasi I know my technicals well. I can participate. So I don't shut myself up. Kailangan growth lang ako. No, because today, those people who are still waiting for that growth, all those high growth, young growth stocks that has no earnings, revenues, like the ARK Invest, they're still in bottoming out. I think they're bottom, but it's still bottoming out. So if you're a trader that keep on trading all these growth stocks, good luck, because you're wasting a lot of your time. Unlike when you're in value stocks today, the last 2 months, you probably will make a lot of money. So you need to be very flexible as a trader. You active trader, active investor, you need to be very flexible talaga. You need that flexibility.
Okay, next question is, how do we navigate through capitulation in terms of managing risk?
Very good question, no? You have to remember, the capitulation is only designed in the Philippine market. It is not for the US market. When markets are capitulating in the US, not the whole market, but individual, most of the time, because it's a fundamental problem, right? So we do not, because the technician will say, oh, it's a capitulation, that's our play. No, you have to pre-qualify it. Because if you're buying a capitulation in the US and fundamentally there is a problem, that stock will just go sideways and go new low, right? The reason why we use capitulation here in the Philippines is because of what we call illiquidity. There's a liquidity challenge. So like, for example, the MSCI capitulation, or let's say there's a policy-driven crash, or there's a rebalancing. Nothing wrong with the company. For example, AP. AP was sold down to 2050 because of the MSCI rebalancing. But the fair value is 42, right? We have a technique of going in because these are being sold down by the global fund managers indiscriminately, irrational selling with great earnings. First quarter earnings of AP was fantastic, 200% in terms of earnings growth from a low base to 200 times. So these are what we call a no-brainer, We will participate. Now, the next question is, what is the percentage? Yan ang sinasabi niya. And normally in a capitulation wherein it's a market-driven crash, we probably will take 2 or 3% value at risk. You can keep 1%, wala rin problema. But since these are rare opportunities, kasi capitulation is rare opportunities for us, probably every 6 months lang, or every time there's a rebalancing, then we can see where the deletion or the addition of the different from the MSCI rebalancing, then we will participate. We will increase the value at risk From 1, it can be 2 or 3%, depending on your size of your portfolio. Okay, I think that answers the questions.
Yeah, okay, next question. I think Erica Ong, did you have your hand up? Sorry, did you want to ask your question?
Yeah, so hi sir, yung tanong ko po is yung sa risk on versus risk off. You had a slide on it where you showed the treasury yield ng US 10-year sa baba, tapos PSEI sa taas. So I was just gonna ask you like an overview of what determines risk on and risk off for you. Like, are there other factors besides yung treasury note ng US? Kasi like right now, medyo natatakot ako dun sa inflation actually. Kasi it's higher than what the Fed wanted. So I'm a bit worried na baka mag-risk off soon. And also, besides yung what determines risk on, risk off, sir, ano po yung implications ng risk on, risk off for you? Does it affect your position sizing? Do you hedge with shorts? So yun po yung tanong ko.
Are you still in school?
Yes, I'm a med student.
Huh?
I'm a med student.
Med student.
Huh?
Med student.
A medical student. Jordan, pwede ka na palitan ng...
Jordan, my classmate sa high school.
Very good question. Very good. Very good. Pwede ka nang palitan, Jordan. My God, ang galing-galing yung kasama mo. Medical student? So in other words, you took another profession.
Yeah, sort of.
Maybe ka rin.
Right.
Same
UP,
high school classmate ko.
High school. Your classmate, high school.
High school.
Okay. Akala ko. What's her first name? Erica. Very good. Very good question.
Right, Jordan.
Okay, very good. I'm still wondering why you want to be in med school if you can ask those kind of questions. Anyway, that's good. That's a very good question. Okay, when you know, from the old traditional way of thinking, as interest rates goes up, what will happen is it will always create what we call the interest rate policy driven crash, right? So that's why we showed you the risk on, risk off. Your question is very fantastic. Ang sinabi mo kanina is that you're so aware of the inflation that's happening today. We all agree. And so the next question you ask also is that you think that the market is expensive. That's why if we look at the US market, we consider it as we are what we call in quadrant 3. Quadrant 3 is what we call a weak bull. Why did we say it's a weak bull? A weak bull is because it's overbought, right? And inflation is coming in. So anytime, we don't know when. That's why we have to use a technical analysis. We have to use a 50-day, 100-day EMA, basically just to be able to make sure, right, that when it breaks down, risk off talaga. So we use an indicator for risk off. Do you get it? So in other words, if I show you a chart today, whether it's a 50, 100, 200-day EMA, this is basically, we are aware of what's happening in the US. They continue, but they continue to what they call fiat money, basically the Fed and the Treasury are continuous pumping money. They're trying to talk it up so that the market doesn't go down. But you have to be careful. I think you're correct. This morning, Yellen said something. He said, I think it's healthy for rates to go up. So it's already sending a message that the policy going forward is that they will try to normalize now the 10-year US Treasury. Meaning they will now normalize. The word is normalize. Kasi from 0.5 to 1.5, 1.6. Diba? They're so afraid that if they bring it up to 2.5%, you'll have a crash. Right? So in other words, they are now very careful with their words. So it's very good question. But I'll tell you, we use an indicator. No? We use a moving average, 10, 20, 50-day, 100-day moving average. When it breaks the 100-day, risk off yan. We need to be risk off. We need to be careful because market can just have a market crash because of the risk off, no? Because of the normalization of the 10-year US Treasury. Very good question.
Thank you for that great question.
Eric, do I understand do I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Pero may question po ako, like parang what does it imply for you? Like kapag, like right now, lilitan niyo po kayong, will you decrease your position size or will you hedge with some shorts right now? Or will that wait until kapag nag-risk off na talaga sa kanya mag-hedge ganon and decrease position size?
Well, because Erica, we are active traders. We don't have positions. If the market, if the price of that particular issue breaks down, we are always out of the market. We don't hedge it. We don't hedge it. We are not fund managers. If a fund manager, they probably will hedge it because of the size of the. Kami, maliit lang kami. We're smaller. We can easily manage it. That's the reason why they always ask me. Boss, how many people do you need in your organization? So about 3 to 5. So why do you have so many? That was always the question. That was always the question because I really believe that by educating and actively in the market, you don't have to worry too much about your portfolio because when it breaks down, you're out of the market. We're back to 100%. We can be 100% cash. So very different because this is our business. Erica, this is our business. We're not basically like, for example, the fund managers who basically just raise cash and then do a portfolio, buy these companies for the next 3 to 5, 10 years. And then they hedge it when it thinks that there's a risk off. We don't do that. We don't do that. Maybe eventually if our size becomes bigger, right, and we don't have the people or the skill for people to basically participate in it, right? Now, when you are a fund manager, then you need to hedge your position if you continue to like it. Because when you are hedging your position, when you're selling, let's say covered, it's like you have a let's say 3 to 5 or 10 stocks that you like, and then you can sell out of the money cost just to protect whenever it goes down, and then you get your premium. That's how you should do it. If you're a long-term investor and you love those companies, for example, if you like Amazon, Facebook, the FANG, or the Microsoft, and you want to keep it for the next 10, 20, 30 years, what you need to do is that if you think that the market is overbought, you need to sell covered calls and get your premium, right? Every month you just get your premium, right? So you don't need to sell your position because you're buying, believing in that they could continue to grow, right? And that's how you should do it. Because if you're not a full-time trader, you need to be able to hedge those positions. Sell covered calls now.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, it's good. What are you taking up? Chismoso.
What am I sa college, sir? I'm a med student, sir. Pero I trade din.
What will be your no, what do you want to be? Med school on what?
Well, after I become a doctor, I plan to continue pa rin naman trading kasi I wanna have like wealth.
No, med. You're a cardiologist, you're OB.
Baka cardio po. I'm not sure yet. Malayo pa.
So we hedge on your future cardio so we get for. Thank you. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good question. Very good question. Sorry, St. Jude, man.
St. Jude.
St. Jude.
Okay, thank you for those great questions, Erica. Let's move back to the Facebook live stream questions for now. So first question is, any advice for people who are still stuck with laggards and are already down 30 to 50%? What solutions would you suggest to traders who experience drawdowns?
Okay, so it depends on the issue you have. If you have all these basura stocks, the answer is you have to get out of it. You have to get out of it. Now, if you are buying, let's say, for example, AP, it's down 30, 40%, and it's paying you a cash dividend of 4 or 5%, you should just hold it. Because they're paying you to wait time for it to recover. Diba? So I think that's the best answer. So it depends on the stock that you have. If you are buying stocks that basically has no intrinsic value, right? There's no fair value, there's no nothing, you should get rid of it and then switch it to those that has value, diba? So that they're being paid dividends, para may dividendo ka.
Okay, next question. How do you identify if the market sentiment is at a turning point?
Okay, very good question. So that's basically understanding the different quadrants. Though. So we're still in quadrant one. Quadrant one is a lot of stocks are being sold because the foreign interest is not here. So what happened is that there are a lot of values in the Philippines. So quadrant one is all about no interest environmental. So it's a buy low, sell high. So for example, when the MSCI rebalancing came down, So we bought it, now it's rising, we sell it. So it's a buy low, sell high strategy that we're using. So if you're asking where the sentiment will come in to become quadrant 2, it's basically based on what? Based on your tailwind. Is it now the economy because of, let's say, the mass vaccination that's going on, right? The reopening of the economy. That means, are we going to be now growing from the 2019 EPS growth? Are we growing? In other words, are we going back now? If the answer is no, then that means the sentiment continue to be bad, right? I mean, you know, sentiment, you can see it. Diba? How people are excited. Are they excited to go back to the office, or diba? Are the earnings now coming back in? If the earnings are still on below 2019 earnings, that means that their business is affected. Now, there are some businesses that are growing double digit, and those are the companies you should be focusing on. You should be focusing on, right?
Okay, for the third question, how can we be confident with long-term investing since there are also chances that blue chips decline?
Very good question. Very good question. Okay. What is very important today, for example, the Globe, the telcos, the PLDT, Ayala Land, Mega World, these are all the blue chips. These are from what we call mature growth, mature companies, all right? So what is really more important right now is that when you are stuck, and you've probably been stuck for the last 10 years, right? Since 2013, when the market peaked, the market was in what we call the weak bull, and then valuations, and then when it hit, the pandemic hit, everybody got affected. What is really very important right now is you need to make sure that all these companies that you have are paying you a dividend. And what are the chances for it to recover? Please go to our investment guide. We have an investment guide. Research lang. Magbasa naman kayo ng konti. Basahin niyo, di ba? What are 2022, what are the growth prospect? Pag may growth yan, that means you have to rebalance your asset allocation, rebalance your stock portfolio. Let's say if you're a long-term investor, you need to rebalance it, right? Because if they are continue losing, you know what, it's called sunken cost fallacy kasi natalo ka na, hinahawakan mo pa. But indirectly, you need to realign it, making sure that each of these companies that you are investing or you are switching has growth potential, right, are recovering, and are paying you a dividend for you to wait for them to recover. You got it? So understand that very carefully. Kailangan maintindihan niya kasi pag hindi niya naintindihan, so umiiyak because you think that losing 30, 40, 50%, you have to get used to it because you didn't understand it. But today, when you're in this environment wherein you now understand what are values and whether they're paying you a dividend or not, you need to understand it. It's parang hindi na dark lang, na random na pumipili ka. Kaya nga, what is the reason why we're trying to get all of you to try to understand what we're saying? In other words, we are basically connecting the dot. Did you understand? Diba? Everybody talks about fundamentals, or everybody talks about technical. Everybody talks, diba? I doubt if they talk about sentiment and risk. But we're trying to connect the dot lang. That's why we have to summarize it lang. Para before, the funny part is when we were teaching this 2005, 2006, 2007, everybody was listening. But the market was going down. We're telling to get out. Hindi na sila nakikinig. So selective hearing. Because this is a game of probability. Because it's a game of probability. So what happened is, you have your own biases, di ba? Right? You have your own biases. So what is really important is, what we did was, science na ito, science, may checklist na tayo. Right? May checklist na tayo. So in other words, what Erica was asking a while ago was very good. In other words, if interest rates going up, that means your PE valuations has to go down. Automatic yan eh. Di ba? Right? Kasi if you go to the book of, what do you call this, the Finding the Next Starbucks by Karl Marx, there is a table there. There's a table on treasury bills. What is the treasury bills? What is the PE based on earnings? In other words, may cheating din tayo. Pag kumakit ang interest rates, siyempre, valuations are going down. Di ba? Right? So, but if your PE, if your earnings growth is 10, 20, 30%, then you should have the equivalent on on your how many percent, how many times it should be your PE, the valuation of your PE. It's all there. Nandun naman lahat yan eh. It's all there. It's whether you choose to see it or not lang. That's the most difficult. That's why trading is the most difficult. Investing is easy. Just find the best companies you like, buy and hold it, and then continue to just put 10-20% of your money, and then one day you wake up. Apple pala nabili mo, $20. Parang ganun, di ba? Right? Or Microsoft, or Google. You know, it's gone up 10, 20, 10,000 times already. Di ba?
Okay.
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 Can we please bring up the slides to the next set of questions, please?
Okay. Wait up. Okay, go.
Okay. For the first question, what are your take on REITs?
Okay, REIT is very, very good for people like us who basically, for people who has high net worth people who will treat it as what we call it's what we call how do you say, a passive investing on real estate. It's what we call an allocation. We do not treat REIT as a stock. We treat it as a coupon, meaning you're getting a coupon. No, you know, before what we say is that okay, you invest in properties and then you lease it out, right? So you have some passive income. The problem is today, most real estate itself per square meter is so expensive. And then the worst thing is you cannot find a tenant. You have to look for a tenant, right? So REIT is a substitute for that, especially for young people like you. You can basically buy a good name, an Ayala REIT, or let's say Robinson's coming out with their REIT. Mega World is coming out with a REIT. Philinvest is coming out with a REIT. They pay you 5-6% cash dividend. You have to treat it not as an equity portfolio, but as a rental. Parang rental income mo lang yan. So it has to be separated. It's hard to value all these REIT. It's mainly because they continue to put asset into it. So maintain the 5-6% dividend. The yield that they pay you. So it's a very different, it's not we do not consider that as an equity. It's part of your fixed income coupon, the yield that you get from fixed income. So it's separated, yeah, it's separated. But there are a lot of good things coming out. Fly is gonna, Philinvest is coming out now. They're reading their cyber in Alabang. Right? Good tenant mix, walang problema. Robinsons, we just talked to them last week. I Philippines talked to them last week. Robinsons is a 15 building, you know, all over the Philippines REIT that they're coming out. It's just big also, 24 billion. Yeah, but there are a lot of good names coming out. I think probably last quarter will be the Mega World REIT. No? So, but don't treat it as a parang yield lang for your real estate investment. Instead of buying a real estate property, yung yield ang believe mo, wala ka pa sakit ng ulo. Di ba? Kasi you get your 5% return. If you do it yourself, hahanap ka pa ng tenant. Tapos pag nasira aircon, papaayusin mo pa. So by the end of the day, you probably get that less than 1 or 2%. So these are for those people who have extra cash, but you have to treat it like a different, it's an asset allocation. No? Asset allocation on the REIT side.
Okay, for the second question, what do you usually study to create your own trading process?
We showed it a while ago. It's called the FTSR, right? We look at the fundamentals of the company, we like it, and then we time it, and then we just have to make sure that when the sentiment is bad, or like what Erica was saying, the market is overbought, interests are rising, then we should use a buy. We buy it and then we sell it. We sell everything. We don't keep half. Right? In normal process, we will keep half if the market is not overbought. But if the market is in quadrant 3, that means a buy low, sell high strategy, we will sell it talaga. We will sell it talaga. No? So it's a product process. It's all there. And then, of course, the risk management is important. Whenever I put an entry, exit, 1% bar or 2% bar or 0.5, depending on what setup strategy we use. If it's momentum, I use 0.5. If it's a position trading, I use 1%. If it's a capitulation, I use 2%. So may process talaga yan. May process.
Okay, for the third question, how do you deal with the psychological side of trading?
Psychological side. Understanding the emotional cycle of investing. In other words, you need to understand when markets are going up, you need to be, depending on market condition, you need to be scaling up. Like, for example, if you're a quadrant one, when you're quadrant one, it's a no interest environment. Pag nag-rally yan, kailangan nagbebenta ka. So that's how you need to learn it talaga. May emotional cycle investing. Kasi most people, because you're not in this investment, it's not your profession. So the only time you hear about it is when prices are going up. And prices are going up, pang benta na yan eh. Hindi naman pang padagdag eh, di ba? So that they have to understand it. When you want to be investing in the market or trading actively in the market, you need to understand all these different rules eh. Pag hindi mo naintindihan yan, what will happen is you only hear about it kasi let's say you're a medical student, di ba? And suddenly Jordan said, boss, Erica, market na yung market. Bumili ka na. The thing is, Erica understands the business. So she knows. What if the other don't understand? Oh, sige, bili mo ito kasi akit na yan. Oh, yeah. Then it becomes another long problem, di ba? Kakaproblema yan.
Okay, for the last question on this slide, which setups do you prefer? Position, swing, or momentum?
I love them all. I do all. Okay, so please, this has always been a challenge between me. I do it all. I'm a hardworking freak talaga. I love position trading. I love swing trading. I love momentum. So I don't have any what they call a style drift because I know all the different styles. Diba? I trade momentum. I trade swing. I trade position trading. I love them all. I only don't do one thing. I don't short the market.
Okay, thank you for that. Next question, can we get Kobe? Kobe, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, sorry kung medyo pabebe pero medyo nagising ako sa mga questions kanina eh, parang ang intense eh. Another question I want to ask sana, and this is a bit more of a career focus naman one, is if since I think a lot of us here are considering working in finance, so we applied for an internship in a financial company. And I think the reason why, perhaps even subconsciously, that a lot of us have in our minds na parang where do you envision yourself working? A lot of us say PE, yung mga private equity, whatever, venture capital, whatever. I think a question we want to ask is how worried should we be with our career-wise regarding quants, regarding yung mga algorithmic trading, yung mga computers, how worried should we be? I have some friends who work in other financial institutions, yung mga other banks. And I've been hearing stories that they've started implementing quants na nga eh. So as traders and as people who want to work in finance in the future, how worried should we be about that?
If you're talking about algos, di ba?
Yeah, mga quant ganun. Yeah.
What algos yan eh? What algos? So be a computer engineer. Take it as a profession. They'll pay you well to be able to design that. But let me share with you, Kobe, about why do I need traders, right? So let me ask you a question. If the quant that you're seeing today is probably Renaissance technology, right? They're showing you 50-60% return, right? With a 10 billion capital. I mean, that's everybody's dream. May long short sila, right? The funny part is when it starts going into, they started selling the funds, distributing the funds to third party for people to invest. The Renaissance is basically a closed-ended fund there. Nobody can go in. But the minute that they basically open it up, I was surprised. Their numbers are really bad, right? Especially last year. They were down 20% when the market was up, right? So, Kobe, it's really for me. I don't know the design of the algos, but I'm sure that the algos is designed by computer science people also, by engineers, right? I mean, di ba? Mga computer science lahat yan, di ba? And I really believe that when the trader basically understand all the different rules, understand all the different market cycle clock, understanding it very carefully, and basically put in their proper entry, exit, I believe that they will outperform the algos. The algos in the Philippines, what they're doing, they're basically just cheating everybody. They're cheating everybody. Yung market on close na, sometimes 3%, 5%. Magnanakaw lahat yan. Because of what? Because of what? Because wala silang kinikita. They're down to 4 basis point. MSCI rebalancing, baka wala pang 1 basis point. They don't make money, but they cheat them on the market making. Mga magnanakaw lahat yan. Market on close, lahat magnanakaw yan. They're cheating all their funds, all their clients. And that's so sad. That's why when you ask me, I understand naman, baka naiingit ako. Hindi ako naiingit sa kanila kasi magnanakaw talaga sila. And I told that to the PSE already. They're marking the close. You can see the difference. Last week, oh my God. Closing price, boom, up 3-4%. Paano nangyari yan? Because the PSE allows it. That is their mistake, and I've been fighting it for so many years already. Because it is, for me, it's our duty. When we see people doing all these things, it is our moral duty. Our moral duty when they're cheating their client. Because, you know, the problem is because they always use the Philippines, the liquidity. Walang liquidity kasi dito. Kaya they are allowed to do that, which I think is wrong. When market closes, dapat they should be trading at the last price, but they don't. They allow them to mark their close. That's the algos for you. So when institutions are doing all this market making, what is the reason? Like for example, Robinhood. Why are they selling their data, selling their trades to Citadel to 0.72? Why are they doing that? Because they're market making against their client. No, so that they get paid. Because Robinhood is no commission. So how can you make money on no commission? So paano ginagawa yan? That means nagma-market make sila, di ba? So pag nagma-market, dinadaya sa presyo. So ang mga binibili natin, dinadaya tayo. It's so sad, but that's the reality of market making. No? That's the reality of market making. That's why this business is really so dangerous if you don't understand it. Everybody's out there to take your money. That's why you need to know the rules. For example, I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a program about buying pullbacks. Right? Buying pullbacks, okay? Buying 20-day pullback, right? So we call it a holy grail. When market have a huge ADX going back to 20-day, we have to look at it now, right? It's in a book. I mean, we teach that what a strategy is called holy grail. It's in my Facebook. The problem is when you put the 20-day, do you just buy it there? How do you tell the algos to say ito na? What happened is you can buy it. The problem is the next day may susundutin ka, di ba? Pag sinundot ka, di out of the game na. The next day, gap up na, bakit na. Paano yan? Right? So I really believe that if the trader understands, seasoned enough to then understand what they are going against, which is the world market, right? And manage your risk, you will outperform the algos. It's just that when your business is big, malaki na masyadong negosyo, that's the challenges yan. May mga challenges yan. Right? That's why, tama sinabi ni Erica, tama siya. Just pick your companies. You have a profession, you're a medical student, you be the best medical student, be the best cardiologist. And then on the side, you watch the market. Looking for opportunities, looking for companies, maybe high growth companies, and then buy and hold it. Diba? And then sell covered calls to get the premium every 2 weeks you get some premium, and you will be very profitable. Right? But to do all this buying and selling every day, I really think unless you're being paid to do it, I think you will buy. Let me share with you the statistics of Kalum. The first batch of Kalum, there were 30 people who enrolled. Only one left with us. Only one left. The stat is really very low. Kami na yung nagbabayad sa kanila. Kami na nagpapatalo. Hindi rin kinikinayanan. That's why whenever they ask me about, can you take it to full-time? I said, the answer is no. How can you be full-time? Oh, focus on your work, focus on your business, and then learn how to buy local companies and select it and buy, set aside 10-20% and buy the growth story of the companies. And you will do very well. You will do very well. Diba? Pero trading every day, these statistics namin, you know, I have 100 traders, 85 traders in 2000 when I started my trading career, 1998, 99. I think I have only 2 or 3 left. More than 100 then, They cannot take it. Mahirap talaga itong negosyo na ito. It takes a while talaga. It really takes a while. And you have to be passionate and dedicated to it. The one we're asking, there are 700 applicants, di ba? And it's open for these people. And I was telling Sheena, so you guess how many percent will attend this session? This is free session, Free session na, May 200 ba? Wala.
100 plus yung sa Facebook.
Oh, Facebook 100 plus to. The fallout is free because it's free. Do you understand? And this is going to continue as long as they don't pay. Transit lang yan. Diba? And they don't understand what we're sharing with you is lessons, experiences. And hopefully, you don't make the same mistake. Mahirap itong negosyo. Mahirap ito. It's really a difficult business. Very difficult business. Kobe, did I answer your question? Or you have more questions? What school are you in? What year na?
Lasal, 5th year.
5th year? Uy, parang tayo. 8 years ako sa Lasal. What are you taking up?
Applied economics. Major in financial economics.
Mahirap yata yan. O sige. Kasi 3 years lang sa Lasal. Bakit naging ano ka? Naging 5 years?
Tinry ko sir mag-double degree.
Major.
Good. That's good. Yeah, good.
Okay, thank you for that question, Kobe. Next, can we get Alvin?
Yeah.
Yes, Aldo.
So I'd like to ask another question. You mentioned that one strategy is basically switching from investing in down markets and more on trading in uptrending markets. But wouldn't those two, investing and trading, conflict with each other sometimes? Like, Funda would tell you it's a good company, but then it's currently down. But then if you wait for it to be uptrending path, you would be sacrificing a lot of upside. And if you're trading, won't the investing side tell you at the back of your mind na this is too overvalued and it can crash anytime?
Yes, very good question. That's why I was sharing with you the adapt ko value momentum. You need to understand both talaga. No? So that when you're buying something that is expensive, alam mo mahal talaga. Then you have to follow your rules talaga, strategies talaga. And we don't really talk about capitulation, mean reversion, and we only do it only because when there is a what we call the MSCI rebalancing or there is a market-driven crash because of then excesses in terms of being sold irrationally. That's the only time we have to wear that investing hat talaga. We need to do that because that's where we make all our money also. Diba? The trading, when everything is expensive, you don't understand what you're buying. Let's say you use technical analysis, you think there's growth, but you know it hasn't happened. You need to protect yourself. Kasi if you don't, pag binenta niyan, hindi mo linabas, patay ka. No? But you need to understand everything talaga. Kailangan naintindihan mo yan. Well, ito yung tinatawag namin na trabahong tamad. Kasi when people say technical analysis, tawag namin doon trabahong tamad. Kasi pindot-pindot ka lang eh. Di ba? You got it? Right? Kung technical analysis, magbabasa ka pa eh. Mahirap magbasa. Di ba? Kaya maswerte ako. I have so many people. Tatanungin ko lang, Jordan, ano ba itong pwede sa Hong Kong? O ito, okay ba itong stock na ito? So he will summarize it for me. If technical analysis, I don't need him. O sasabihin lang sa akin kung anong maganda ito. Pipindutin ko na yan eh. Di ba? That's why that's why we work with a lot of people because we cannot cover the world. We have to know what's going on because of course they will say, "Oy, technical analysis, hindi naman kailangan ng fundamentals eh." I beg to disagree. You need to know what you're buying. Because if you don't know what you're buying, your odds of making money is less. You increase your odds by understanding the fundamentals. You're mentally prepared. You know, I was just sharing this. Any chart, if I understand the company and I know the people, I can make money whether it's up or down. Believe me. Kasi pag down, pag breakout, binibenta ko siya. Right? It's a strategy. Right? And I've done it so many times. But I don't teach that because you cannot teach anything that, in other words, the fundamentals and the market technicals has to be aligned. You understand? It has to be aligned. Because if it's not aligned, that means the market is not ready for it to go up. Let's say you like the fundamentals, gusto mo yung storya, pero the market is not telling you, the price is not telling you it's breaking out. Eh, bakit ka bibili na? Right? So that's why we call it the hard money. Diba? Pinipilit mo na gusto market kasi ego mo yan. Kasi binasa mo ng 3 araw. Diba? So alam mo na lahat ng storya, lahat ng mga details alam mo. Problema, nobody agrees with you. The price is not going up. Oh, diba? So you're just wasting your time. That's why we call it the hard money. That's why Lawrence would always explain, don't waste your time at the bottom. Spend your time the one on top. Understand the story, the narrative, and participate. That's what we call the easy money. The easy money. And the number shows also. Kasi everybody basically confirming through price and volume. Are we good?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so unfortunately, that's all the time we have for the day. So that will conclude our first seminar. Thank you all again for your questions. Thank you for that insightful session, Sir Edward. And thank you to everyone for attending. We hope that you learned a lot from this session. If there's anything else from this talk that you're still unsure about, please feel free to leave your questions on the Facebook group again. Lastly, just a friendly reminder that our next session later today will start at 2 p.m. Philippine time with Sir Lawrence Lee, who will be giving an overview of the stock market. We look forward to seeing you there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.